The moment Karoline Leavitt opened her phone on that Tuesday morning, her world exploded. The White House press secretary, fresh off her victory against Robert De Niro, thought she was untouchable. She was wrong. Breaking. Congresswoman Jasmine. Crockett files $80 million lawsuit against Karoline Leavitt for defamation and civil rights violations. The notification flashed across her screen like a bomb going off. Leavitt's hands started shaking as she read the headline from CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC all at once. This wasn't just any lawsuit. This was an $80 million nuclear weapon aimed directly at her career, her reputation, and everything she'd built. What happened in the next 72 hours would destroy the 27-year-old press secretary in ways she never imagined. The same Gen Z fighter who demolished Hollywood's biggest star was about to face a legal nightmare that would make her De Niro victory look like child's play. Before we dive into this explosive story, smash that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any of the drama that's about to unfold. Trust me, you won't want to miss what Jasmine Crockett had planned for Karoline Leavitt. The lawsuit wasn't just about money, it was about justice, accountability, and showing that no one, not even Trump's golden girl, was above the law. What Crockett had discovered would shock the nation and leave Leavitt scrambling to save her career. This is the story of how one tweet, one press briefing, and one massive legal mistake brought down the conservative movement's rising star faster than anyone thought possible. To understand how devastating this lawsuit really was, you need to know who these two women are and why this battle mattered so much. At 27, Karoline Leavitt had become the face of young conservatism in America. As the youngest White House press secretary in history, she'd built her reputation on being fearless, sharp, and absolutely loyal to Trump. Her recent destruction of Robert De Niro on Fox News had made her a conservative icon overnight. Leavitt grew up in New Hampshire in a middle-class Catholic family. She'd worked her way up from college intern to campaign staffer to the most powerful press podium in the world. Her blonde hair, blue suits, and razor-sharp comebacks had made her the perfect spokesperson for Trump's return to power. But Leavitt had a problem. Success had made her cocky. She'd started believing her own hype, thinking she could say anything without consequences. That arrogance was about to cost her everything. On the other side stood Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett from Texas, a 43-year-old former civil rights attorney who'd never backed down from a fight. Before entering Congress, Crockett had spent years defending victims of discrimination and winning million-dollar settlements against powerful corporations. Crockett wasn't just another politician. She was a legal shark who knew exactly how to use the courts to destroy her enemies. With her law degree from the University of Houston and years of courtroom experience, she understood something Leavitt didn't. Words have consequences, especially when they come from the White House podium. As one of the few black women in Congress, Crockett had faced constant attacks from conservative media. But she'd also learned how to fight back using the one weapon they couldn't defend against: the by-law. What made this confrontation so explosive was the collision of two different worlds. Leavitt represented the new conservative movement, young, social media savvy, and convinced they could say anything. Crockett represented old-school accountability, experienced, legally trained, and ready to make people pay for their words. The stakes couldn't have been higher. For Leavitt, this lawsuit threatened to destroy her career just as it was taking off. An $80 million judgment would bankrupt her and make her unemployable in politics. For Crockett, this was about proving that no one in the White House was above the law, regardless of their age or popularity. The drama began 3 weeks earlier, during a White House press briefing that would go down in history as one of the most destructive moments in modern political communication. It was a typical Tuesday afternoon, and Leavitt was feeling confident after a string of successful press conferences where she'd dominated hostile reporters. The question came from Sarah Chen, a reporter from the Washington Post who'd been particularly aggressive in her coverage of the administration. Ms. Leavitt, can you comment on Congresswoman Crockett's voting rights legislation and why the administration opposes it? It should have been a routine policy question with a standard political response. Instead, what came out of Leavitt's mouth would ultimately cost her everything. Congresswoman Crockett claims to care about voting rights, Leavitt had said from the podium, her voice dripping with disdain. But she's really just another angry activist who got elected by playing the victim card. Her so-called civil rights work was just ambulance chasing for money. The room went quiet. Even seasoned reporters used to heated political rhetoric seemed shocked by the personal nature of the attack. But Leavitt wasn't finished. Emboldened by what she mistook for approval, she continued her assault. "Let's be honest about what we're dealing with here," she said, leaning into the microphone. "This is someone who built her entire career on grievance politics and racial division. She talks about civil rights, but what has she actually accomplished besides filing lawsuits and collecting checks?" But that wasn't the worst part. Leavitt had then made personal attacks about Crockett's appearance, her background, and even suggested she wasn't qualified to be in Congress. The comments were broadcast live to millions of Americans and immediately went viral on social media. What Leavitt didn't realize was that every word she spoke from that podium could be used against her in court, and Jasmine Crockett had been taking notes. The first sign that Leavitt was in serious trouble came 48 hours after the lawsuit was filed. She'd tried to brush it off during her morning press briefing, calling it a publicity stunt and saying she wasn't worried about frivolous lawsuits from attention-seeking politicians. That was her first mistake. Within hours, Jasmine Crockett was standing in front of the Capitol building with a team of lawyers, holding a press conference that would be watched by millions. She wasn't just angry, she was laser-focused and ready for war. "Ms. Leavitt thinks this is a publicity stunt," Crockett said, her voice steady but filled with controlled fury. "Let me be crystal clear about what this lawsuit contains. We have documented 47 separate instances of defamatory statements made from the White House podium. We have evidence of coordinated attacks on my character, my professional reputation, and my fitness to serve in Congress." She held up a thick stack of papers. "This isn't just about hurt feelings. This is about a pattern of abuse of power, targeted harassment, and civil rights violations that have caused real, measurable damage to my reputation and my ability to serve my constituents." The press conference was devastating. Crockett laid out her case with the precision of the experienced attorney she was. She had receipts,